Hi guys, hope you're doing good. So we are back almost after a week, and then we are here to understand basically on what is token burning and how we as developers or how we as implementers can implement it. So, hope you are safe during this lockdown. This particular series of webinar is part of Z Talks, wherein we have a lot of education programs for the students like you, for the researchers, for the crypto enthusiasts, for the blockchain researchers, and for the learners, for you to learn about these emerging technology concepts and to understand these topics in very simple ways. So we are here to start with this. This particular session is being powered by Zinfin Hybrid Blockchain. So let's just quickly start with the session. Just 1 minute. And yes, yeah. So as some of you might already know me, so guys, I'm Punit Agarwal. I'm founder of Zubi, and I have been into this blockchain industry for 2.5 years now, wherein I have done a couple of projects with the organizations, with the leading organizations in Asia Pacific region. I've also pitched a proof of concept to the government of Rajasthan on on a specific program called Student Startup Exchange Program, wherein through that I was sent to Silicon Valley for around 15 days, wherein I had sessions at various universities and at various organizations. I had been a research intern at National Ilan University, and I've also published a couple of research papers in the field of blockchain and healthcare. So I have worked in this industry for almost 3 years now, wherein I had developed one of the application which was I've developed in fact many applications and one network. So I've helped one company to set up their entire network and a network like Ethereum, and I have worked on the implementation of the protocol aspects of the blockchain. So going further, yeah. So like before, so the entire topic of today's discussion is about token burn. Is about so before knowing this, before knowing what exactly token burn is, let's just first understand what token is. So if you guys are familiar with Ethereum, Ethereum has tokens. Ethereum has like the currencies that is issued on top of Ethereum are generally called as tokens. So these tokens are, it's kind of an any cryptocurrency. So with any cryptocurrency, you have few values associated with it. You have the total supply, like we have discussed it earlier. Bitcoin's total supply is 21 million. So that token's total supply is 21 million. We have a lot many other coins, and like we have Ethereum, we have lots and lots of altcoins, and everyone comes with the total supply. Everyone has the digits. So this is something which we have done it in the previous webinar when we were deploying smart contracts. So now just understand what exactly is a token burn, and what happens when we burn a token. Is it actually like burning the notes or the currency that we have and putting it into, just the fire, or is it something else? So so let's start it. So token burning is basically a process wherein we permanently remove the existing cryptocurrencies coins from distribution. So let's say if I have around like 20 million coins, fine. What I do, I burn 1 million coins. So what I do, what happens after that? So basically 1 million coins are completely removed or permanently removed from the existing cryptocurrencies distribution. From that particular cryptocurrency's distribution, 1 million tokens is being removed. So technically talking about the definition, token burning is an intentional action taken by the coin's creators. This can only be done by the one who has created the coin. How do we know who has created the coin? So smart contract has this function of owner. So this is an intentional action taken by the coin's creators to burn or remove from circulation a specific number of total available tokens in the existence. So it's basically an action which is done intentionally. It's not an unintentional action. It's an action which is done intentionally by the coins creators to remove or to permanently remove the coins from circulation. So why this is that? There are several reasons to do this, and there are several ways on how we can do it. And this is usually not seen in Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is quite much popular in altcoins. So let's just understand how does it work. Let's understand how exactly token, how exactly the burning of token works. So, like, if we want to understand how to burn the tokens, so just let's understand the fundamentals first. The fundamentals associated with the topic or with the the moment of presenting or burning the tokens. So burning tokens does not disintegrate them literally, but it does render them unusable in the future, right? So burning token does not disintegrate them literally, as in it basically makes that particular token unusable. It does not remove the entire tokens from that circulation, but the circulation would be there. It's just that particular number would be put as unusable. So when it is unusable, automatically the circulation decreases. Getting it? The process involves the project developer repurchasing or taking available currency out of the circulation by removing them from availability. So this is usually common when we see the public limited companies, wherein they buy back shares from their from their investors or from the one who have bought their shares. So we see these activities like wherein people or the company itself is buying back the share. So this is something that you can relate with. So they buy back to keep the the shares with them. So this process involves the project's developer repurchasing or taking available currency out of circulation. To do so, what exactly is, so how we do that? The token's signature are put into an irretrievable public wallet known as Ether address. Getting it? So this is some technical terms. We'll understand how exactly it is, how we will implement it, and how the code for it will look. So the token signatures are put into an irretrievable as in you cannot retrieve the tokens back from it. This is why we call it burn, not just remove, because once you burn something, it's almost impossible to retrieve the entire information from it or to retrieve the entire thing from it. If I burn a 10 rupees note, I cannot get it back. So hence it is called burned, wherein the currency. So how this happens is, let's say I burn a currency or I burn some tokens. So that particular tokens, the amount that I want to burn will move into an irretrievable wallet. Once it is in that irretrievable wallet, so this particular wallet is a public wallet. Public wallet as in this wallet doesn't have any private key. This can be only visible to all of the members. It doesn't have any private key associated with it, and is usually denoted with, like, it's the address for this particular contract or this particular wallet is 0000000. So this is a public wallet which has an Ether address, and this can be viewed by all the nodes but permanently frozen. The status of this coins is published on the blockchain, so anyone can actually see whether these coins are getting burned or not. So any questions so far? Please put your questions on the comment box. I'll be taking the questions like in a in few periods. So how to burn these tokens? So now once we have understood that what exactly burning is, now how do we burn it? So is there any one approach or are there multiple approaches to burn it? So there are actually multiple approaches to burn the tokens. So one particular approach is, we have discussed about initial coin offering. So initial, I just recap it. So initial coin offering is nothing but when the companies or when the companies issue their tokens or when the companies launch their own tokens, they do an initial coin offering. In that, they put their project idea, they put their team strength, they put the entire white paper for the people to read, and they sell their tokens at a particular price. Getting it? So this is basically similar as IPO, which is done in smart contract, which is done in the share market, or which is done in the the existing world, where where the private limited companies, once they want to become public limited, they usually do an IPO, wherein they open their shares to be bought by these people. So this is something a similar concept of an ICO. And what do people do? So one particular way is, after the ICO is completed, they remove any unsold tokens. So whatever tokens which is not sold during the ICO, they remove that entirely. So why do they do that? So if there is no, if they remove the entire unsold tokens, the people who have already bought the tokens will be incentivized. Why? So it's basic concept of economics, wherein if the if the supply is decreased, the demand increases, hence the price increases. It's the very similar concept that is used here. So one particular approach is, after the ICO, whatever is the unsold amount of token, just burn it. Second approach is, burn coins periodically, either in fixed variables, like in fixed intervals or volumes. So whenever a particular token like reaches this volume, either you can burn it then, or whenever the particular token reaches the particular interval, let's say after every 3 months, after every 6 months, after every like few weeks, or after every few transactions, you can burn it. So for example, Binance, which is a very popular exchange, has its token BNB. They burn their tokens quarterly as part of the commitment to reach 100 million BNB tokens burned. So they have started an initiative wherein they'll burn 100 million Binance tokens, and for this, after every quarter, they burn few tokens. So the volume of the coins, so how many tokens that they burn, the volume of that, it changes based on the number of trades performed on the platform each quarter. Similarly, Zinfin also uses this concept. Zinfin also burns their token, and they have a very interesting way of burning this. So what they do is, they have a platform called Block Degree. At Block Degree, you can learn actually about the blockchain, Zinfin blockchain, and the blockchain concepts. So whenever they receive any payments in terms of XDC or XDCE, which are their two native code, tokens, XDC is the name of the Zinfin's token. So whenever they burn these tokens, or whenever they receive payments in XDC or XDCE, the payment that they have received, 20% of that, they burn it. So their approach is, whenever you go on Block Degree, you purchase for any course by paying XDC or XDCE. Let's say you have purchased a course for 100 XDC. So after that, after you have purchased, so what they'll do is 20% of 100, which is 20 tokens, is getting burned. So even this is a periodically, or after a fixed interval, or sorry, after a particular transaction. So this is happening every periodically. So this is also one way to burn the tokens. So regardless of the method, the output is same. The output is, burnt tokens are rendered unusable and effectively erased from circulation. So the final output is same, wherein uh, the rendered tokens are unusable and are effectively erased from circulation. So let me just check if there are any questions. Okay, yes. So Preeti Sharma has a question. Uh, but if we remove the token, how will we access key? Okay, so Preeti, that's the entire point of it. Wherein if you just remove the token, you don't have the access to it. It's an irretrievable wallet. So it just goes into that particular wallet and stays there. You cannot retrieve it back. There's another question by her. Is this concept used in crypto trading? Not exactly in crypto trading, but it's a concept which is, performed by the creators of a particular token. So when they are creating this token, and like the ones who are creating this, in order to incentivize the people who have invested on their tokens, they actually do this. So by doing this, it's mostly an incentivization to the people who have invested in that particular coin. Why? Because the supply decreases. When the supply decreases, the demand is same, the price increases. So why does burning necessary after an ICO is concluded? It's not necessary, Prabudh. So it's just like companies try to do that. So companies, like it's not compulsion at all. It's just the choice of companies. If they want to do that, they just do that to incentivize the people who have invested in their tokens. How does proof of work works here? Proof of work works absolutely the same way. It's just the transaction, which is a transaction where people want to burn a particular cryptocurrency, and when they have burned it, so it's just like a transaction which is being verified by a miner, and if the transaction is valid, then the transaction gets executed. So it's just a simple transaction. It's just the who can create this transaction or who can do this transaction is the one who is the owner of that particular smart contract. So only the ones who have deployed the particular contract and the ones who have the permission to burn cryptocurrency or burn the token, they can perform this transaction. And it's just a very common transaction for a miner. It's a transaction wherein you are moving certain funds from one wallet to another wallet. The difference is the second wallet or the receiving wallet is irretrievable. So moving further, so why do we burn tokens? So one way, like one thing that we have understood is to it's carrying as an incentivization. But what are the other benefits? So mostly to maintain a stable value and keep incentivized for traders to hold their coins. As I mentioned, if the supply decreases, demand remains same, the price increases. So for people to hold the tokens, the companies usually do this for the people to incentivize them to hold their tokens. So why do companies burn tokens? So one reason behind this is to boost the value of each token by reducing existing supply. Zenfin is doing the same thing. Second is, token burns can be the result of error correction. So, token burns can be needed to rectify the errors. For example, there is a particular token called Tether, USDT. Fine. This particular token is a stable coin. We have discussed about this stable coin in the last webinar. So, this stable coin, what happens is in the stable coin, if you want to create any stable coin, you have to back it with a crypto asset or with a digital if you want to create a cryptocurrency, stable cryptocurrency, you have 2 to 3 approaches. You either back it by US dollars or you back it by cryptocurrency. So Tether is a coin which says that it backs the particular cryptocurrency or the stable coin, which is USDT, by US dollars. And accidentally, while creating the Tether coin, what they did is they created the $5 billion in USDT. So the company accidentally created $5 billion in USDT and had to burn the tokens to avoid destabilizing it one to one peg. So 1:1 is like for every USDT created, they'll keep or they'll back a US dollars, real US dollar. So they work on this mechanism. And what they have, so while creating this particular cryptocurrency, they have created $5 billion USDT, which is the transaction. So to rectify this, they then burnt few tokens so that that is not used anymore, and they don't have to put so much US dollars in reserve. Getting it? So this is another reason why companies burns tokens. In third way, in security tokens. So security tokens is basically the tokens that have some collaterals attached with it. And so in these ways, basically, or security tokens can also be related to the private limited companies or the public limited companies, wherein for every token that you are getting, you get percentage of that particular company. So here the companies also burn tokens to buy back shares from their investors, to buy back the shares from the people. So also like burning of cryptocurrencies or burning of tokens is used to avoid spammed transactions and to add a layer of security. Now this sounds really interesting. So how by burning tokens how can we actually reduce spam transactions, and how we can also add a layer of security. So this was done in the Ripple, where the company burns fees from every transaction. The company burns fees from every transaction to remove the incentive to overload the system. So with every transaction, the system gets overloaded. And if you burn the fees from it, so there's no incentivization to overload the entire network. So hence the company burns fees from every transaction to remove the incentive to overload the system for a quick profit. And doing this, what do they also preserve, or what do they also secure, is basically DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks. Because let's say if the network is heavy, if the network is being used by the people for just who are filling up the entire network with transactions, or the malicious users who are filling it with the transactions, the real users or the actual users, when they want to connect with the network would be busy. So the actual calls to the network would not receive queries because the network is busy. This is something called DDoS attack. And by burning of tokens, we can also achieve this particular feature. So what is like, are there any other use cases, or are there any other uses apart from this? Or can the token burning be used for anything else? So yeah, there is one very interesting way to do this, is you can actually create a very reliable consensus mechanism on this basis. You can actually create a very good consensus mechanism by burning tokens. How? Now, there was someone who was asking about proof of work. Proof of work is a consensus mechanism, and as I have been talking about it quite a while now, that proof of work is a consensus mechanism that is energy heavy, because it utilizes computation power. It utilizes the electricity to run the GPUs for the miners to mine the transactions. They have to run these GPUs, and this is electricity heavy. So when it is electricity heavy, it's not the efficient way, but it is quite popular because Bitcoin network and Ethereum network is using it. Now, Ethereum 2.0 will not use proof of work anymore. They are coming up with a new consensus mechanism, or they are using a consensus mechanism called proof of stake. Similarly, there is a consensus mechanism called proof of burn. Proof of burn, or POB, what it does, it restricts the number of block miners that can verify as in the attached new blocks to the blockchain, in order to match the number of tokens they have burnt. So if the miners are less, so let's just quickly understand how exactly mining works. So in mining, there are a lot of miners. All of the miners wants to solve a quick puzzle, and the one who solves it first gets the reward. Rest all fails. So when there are, like, let's say thousands of people, or let's say lakhs of people who wants to solve it first, only one would be the winner. Rest 99999 people would fail. So all the energy used by these 99999 people is actually waste, is actually going in vain. This energy is not utilized anyway. Hence, with proof of work, with proof of burn, you can limit the number of miners that can verify the tokens or verify the transactions. And once the miners are limited, the consumption of electricity would be limited. Isn't this a very fantastic way to make a particular consensus mechanism energy efficient? So with the same concept of token burn, there is a consensus mechanism called proof of burn that works on this. And essentially, they create virtual mining fields that can grow larger as they burn more tokens. So once the burning of transactions work, the system would be light, since there are just limited number of people who are mining it. And with this, you can actually have virtual mining being set up instead of having the large ant farms, or the large mining farms. So now we have understood the theoretical part of it. Now we have understood like what exactly is the concept behind token burn, and why there's a need of it, why do companies do this, and what are the ways that they do this. Now let's exactly go through the small code snippet that is written in Solidity for a smart contract to have the burn functionality. So yeah, let's just quickly run this particular. I Yeah, just 1 minute. Yes. So, like when we write any Solidity contract, I mentioned the last time that this is something you use for versioning, like Pragma Solidity, and then this is the version number. So what I have done is basically I've imported a basic token.sol, and like what I've done is I've written this contract of burnable token is basic token. So it's a concept of inheritance. Like in C you inherit something, or in Java you inherit something. It's the similar concept wherein I inherit all the functionalities of basic token to this particular contract called burnable token. Now there's an event of burn wherein address, there are two variables of this, or there are two what do we say, like values for this. So one is the address indexed burner and another is the value. Getting it? So the address and the value. Now there's a function of burn. In that function we put this value, like we put how much tokens or how much token we want to burn. It's a public function, and it executes this function. It executes burn message.sender comma value. So what happens here is, so these are the two values which are passed to this particular function. This particular function, the underscore burn, is now getting called inside of this. Now when it's getting called, we find the address and we find the value. This particular internal function. So if if you're familiar with the concepts of scoping, so this particular function is kind of a private function, or a function that is can be only used internally. This requires the value to be less than balance of who. Who is a variable which is an address type. So what does it mean? Is basically if a particular address has, let's say, 100 tokens, you cannot burn 101 tokens from that address. So the value that you want to burn should be less than or equal to the balance that is there in that particular address. I hope it is quite clear until this. Now let's understand what is happening here. So the balances of who is equals to balance of who dot subtract value. As in, the if let's say if I want to burn 10 tokens from an address, so the address is who. So from the address, I subtract 10 tokens. So let's say if the balance of that particular address is 100, so the updated balance of this particular token would be 100 minus 10, which becomes 90. The total supply, as in the total supply of that token, reduces by that value. This is the concept of this is the concept of token burning, wherein the total supply is getting reduced. So the total supply would now be updated. Total supply of that particular coin is total supply minus the value that we want to subtract, and then we emit a transaction for burn. So when the burn is called, who and value is passed here. So like I emit this burn. So this is kind of an event wherein a particular message would be flagged that the tokens have been burned. And then what do? I transfer. What I transfer from address. So this is the from address, that is underscore who. This is the to address, which is address 0, and the value. So what do? I transfer that 10 tokens from who address to address 0. Now what is this address 0? Address 0 is nothing but the address of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, or which we also call it as an ether address. So we basically put all that value in this address, and that particular address is basically pointing to an irretrievable wallet. So when we were talking about the irretrievable wallet, this is exactly the one. So anyone can go and check what is the balance of this address zero. You can easily do that, and you by doing that you will actually know how many tokens have been burnt. So this is a Solidity code to implement how exactly burning can be done, and how we as developers can help companies achieve the function of burning. So any questions? Yeah, I see a question. If I correlated with stock, this is a question by Dinesh. If I correlated with stock, does token burning mean company delisting process? No, Dinesh, it exactly like it won't mean the company's delisting process. It would mean something you can relate it like private companies buying back the shares from the investors or the people who have bought their shares. So let's say if I hold Apple share, if I have two Apple shares, it's just the company will buy back two shares from me. So this is exactly what token burn is, and how you can relate it with the real world scenarios. So this was all about the topic, guys, wherein we have understood about the token burning concept. Why do we do that? How exactly companies achieve it, and how we can, like create this particular function for burning the tokens. So this is all from my side, guys. Should you have any further questions, should you want to understand how exactly you can burn your tokens, or how, if you're the one who is actually running their cryptocurrencies, running their own cryptocurrency, and you have your own cryptocurrency, if you want to understand if burning tokens is actually helpful for you or not, you can reach us, you can reach out to me on punit@zubi.io. I'm putting out my email address on the comments. And for the people who have any doubts related to this, please feel free to join the Telegram group. So the Telegram group's ID is zubi_io. So you can just join our Telegram group and ask all your questions there on the community, and I would be happy to answer your questions. So that's all from my side, guys. Hope this session was informative and you understood about what exactly is the concept behind token burn. So thank you, guys. Thanks Zenfin for sponsoring this particular webinar series, and thank you, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in the next series. Stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.